Hey everyone, I'm Sydney with Wranglers, and today I'm going to be doing a quick activity on water displacement. Water displacement is when an object is placed in water and it pushes enough water out of the way to make room for itself in the water. This happens when we get into the bathtub and the water level rises. It also happens if we were to drop a quarter into a container of water. The quarter sinks to the bottom. This is because it's heavy and it displaces little water. It doesn't displace enough water to hold itself up. When we're talking about displacement, we also have to talk about gravity and buoyancy. The buoyancy is how an object floats. And that's an upwards force created by the water. And something we've talked about before on this channel, the molecular force of water means the molecules are all attracted to each other. And that creates surface tension on the water, which creates it's easier for things to float if they are able to float and if they don't displace too much water like the quarter just did. An object has to have less gravity, so less downward force than there is buoyancy, upward force, to be able to float. For the quarter, there was more gravitational force, meaning it was too heavy compared to the weight that it did, its weight and the amount of water it displaced. If we were to talk about this in a bigger way, it would be a rock. If you throw a rock into the river, it's going to sink down to the bottom pretty quickly. And this is because it's heavy, but it displaces very little amounts of water in relativity to its size. Now, a huge cruise ship, for example, remains floating on top of the water. How can that be? Well, first, huge cruise ships are designed specifically to float on water. We don't design cruise ships with the notion of them sinking at any specific time. We want cruise ships to stay on water. So we have people design these ships to float, but how they float while being so big and so heavy that it displaces a relatively small amount of water compared to how heavy it is. And the amount of water it displaces weighs more than the weight of the ship itself. So, just to explain this in other words, an object will float if it weighs less than the amount of water it displaces. This brings us to the actual activity this week. So you're going to need a bowl of water, and we're just going to be seeing if things float. So we first checked with the quarter, and now I made this little raft earlier, and it's wet because I already checked it. But this raft will float. When put into the water. It's lightweight, but it also displaces very little water. If I were to put a quarter on this raft, it's still there, even though the other quarter sank to the bottom. This quarter's weight is being displaced throughout the raft, and that's why the raft is staying up. That's also why the quarter is not sinking the raft down. It's not pushing it down because the raft itself is suspended on the surface tension of water. You can do this activity with multiple items in your home and see if they will sink or float. This is just a very simple way to show buoyancy and floating and water displacement. If you were to grab something, let's say a bamboo plant, and put it in here, you can see the water level rise. It starts here, the water level where my finger is, and it ends right here. So the heavier something is, the more water it will displace. It seems easy, but I know that this is a difficult concept for a lot of people, especially kids, to fully grasp. So down below there's going to be some more links to other websites and lesson plans and just other explanations for water displacement and why things float, because it isn't something that is super easy to understand. Okay, thank you. Please remember to subscribe, check out our website and our other past videos. And we'll see you next week back here on the River Wranglers channel. Thank you.